feels like the time is right for me to make an expression. Oh, I love you, I need you, I don't want to leave you guessing. So, will you be my friend? Will you stand by me till the end?
Hey, welcome inside my real kitchen. Today I'm gonna try a recipe for Boston brown bread, but instead of boiling it in its traditional can, I'm actually gonna make some miniature loaves with small loaf pans that I have. That way, this can be a sumptuous loaf that you can put in the freezer and take out for those hearty meals when you really need a good warming up. Brown bread, Boston brown bread, is a great recipe because it's actually a quick bread. It's a quick recipe, but really it's a quick bread like banana bread or lemon poppy seed bread or something like that, whereas it is not leavened with yeast, it is leavened with baking soda and baking powder. And it is supposed to be simmered on the stove for 2 hours in aluminum cans covered in tin foil. But I actually don't have the aluminum cans and would rather go for a smaller portion of the bread to have just a little bit at a time. That way I can share it and save it. So what I'm going to do is put them in these mini loaves in a water bath in the oven at 350 degrees in a water bath with the water in the pan under the little pans. So starting off our bread, it's great, it's a 1 bowl bread. We've got 1 cup of whole wheat flour and 1 cup of whole rye flour, as well as 1 cup of corn flour. The recipe calls for cornmeal, but what I have is corn flour, and I think that that will work just fine. It may change the texture slightly, but I believe that it will give it a nice, fine, toothy, yet tender crumb. So I'm mixing these dry ingredients together a little bit, adding a teaspoon and 3/4 of baking soda and half a teaspoon of baking powder, as well as a full teaspoon of salt. We have our liquids over here, which is 1 cup and 2/3 of buttermilk, or what I have is 1 cup and 2/3 of almond milk with a tablespoon and a half of apple cider vinegar in it to curdle it a little bit and give it that acidic reaction it needs for the leaveners, plus half a cup of molasses. And then of course we will add some melted butter, or if you'd like to keep it vegan, melted coconut oil or olive oil would be just fine in this. But it's 3 tablespoons of fat right in there, and 1 cup of dark raisins. We'll just fold this together until all of the flour is wet. Don't want to overmix it. And seems like a wet batter so far. So this is going to be more of a bread batter. Looks like. Okay, so I've prepared 6 mini loaf pans, all oiled, and I'm going to fill them up to about halfway. Very nice. I think I will have just the right amount of batter for this. And then I've boiled some water in my kettle so that the water that goes in is already hot and doesn't have to wait for the oven to heat it up, so that the cooking process can start immediately. That's perfect. I had just enough for my 6 mini loaf pans, filled up halfway. Wonderful. Now I'm going to have to scoot up a little bit, but I'm going to fill up my tray with about 3/4 of the way with water, this hot water. Okay, very good. Now the hot water just makes an even and slow cooking temperature, which helps keep things from getting hot spots, drying out, or burning. And we're going to cover it all in tin foil to keep the tops nice and moist. Now, the large 28-ounce cans of brown bread on the stove simmer for about 2 hours. And I think since these are such smaller containers, we shall let them simmer for 1 hour before testing them with a skewer, toothpick, knife, fork, whatever it is you want to stick in your little breads. So, my oven is preheated to 350 degrees with a rack arranged in the middle. And my little breads are going right in there. This wants to simmer at a low temperature for a while to help those hardy whole rye and wheat flours absorb all of the moisture. So we'll check on them in an hour. So here's the brown bread after baking for 1 hour. It's got a nice steamed looking finish, and I'm just inserting a chopstick, which has come out clean. So I think that they are all set. I'm going to take them out of their water bath and let them cool. Oh, they are very nice and soft. I think this will be a delicious moist bread. I'm going to let them cool overnight and try them in the morning. So despite what I said about waiting until the morning, I tried a little bit of our brown bread, and I thought, it doesn't matter, I'm already in my pajamas, I have to show them my true reaction. So here it is. This is our brown bread, still a little bit warm, and so moist and delicious. With those pockets of sweet raisin, and that deep molasses finish. This is a delicious bread, and I can't wait to mop up a hearty stew with it. Thanks for watching. See you next time inside my real kitchen.